In the quiet of that evening, the soft hush of falling snow wrapped the little town in a delicate embrace. Outside the warm amber glow of a small kitchen window, the flakes drifted slowly, resting like whispered secrets on frosted window panes. Inside, the light was dimmed just enough to invite calm, a single candle flickering beside a steaming cup of tea, its warmth filling the room with an unspoken promise of comfort. Ethan sat quietly at the wooden table, tracing the rim of his cup with fingers wrapped in a knitted scarf. The gentle hum of the old heater and the occasional creak of the settling house formed a lullaby for tired bones and overthinking minds. He breathed deeply, the soft scent of chamomile soothing away the day's edges. His eyes, warm but edged with a tiredness only years of quiet responsibility could carve, lingered on the soft thinning light and the way the shadows played against the walls. For Ethan was a man who carried more than charts and numbers. He bore the gentle but persistent weight of being a leader, a father who sometimes felt lost in the quiet stretches between day and night. Tonight, no urgency called to him. No frantic rhythm disrupted the calm. Instead, he allowed himself this rare moment of stillness, the space to feel the gentleness of the world, settling gently around him like a soft blanket, coaxing open the windows of his heart. For in this soft silence lived a small memory, tender and clear. It hummed beneath his thoughts, waking softly with the memory of Ari, his best employee and friend whose smile had been like the sunrise on many hard days. But tonight, that memory came wrapped in a quiet ache, a single mistake, a softly faltering moment that had changed everything. Yet even in the shadow of that choice, something inside him softened. Because this was not the story of anger, nor a tale of loss. It was a story whispered in kindness and understanding, of mistakes seen through the gentle lens of humanity, where forgiveness and quiet courage grew like wildflowers beneath winter's snow. Ethan's breath drifted out slow and even, and the world felt gentle again. For the first time in years, he breathed easily, wrapped in the soft realization that endings could be beginnings, and sometimes letting go was the kindest act of all. Outside, the snow continued to fall, each flake a quiet promise that even mistakes could be cloaked in the warmth of second chances, and that peace would always find its way home. Would you like to continue the story in this soothing style, with slow character development and gentle emotional moments? Or perhaps a specific part of the sleep story next, like the unfolding backstory or the first meeting? Yes. The candle's flame danced lazily, casting golden pools across the scarred wooden table where Ethan's hands rested, palms upturned like an invitation to the night. Each breath he took carried the faint, earthy whisper of snow, melting against the warm glass, mingling with the chamomile's honeyed sigh. His shoulders, broad from years of quiet carrying, softened under the weight of the knitted scarf draped loosely around them, a gift from his late mother, its wool threads holding memories like threads of faded sunlight. Ethan's eyes, deep brown and flecked with the kindness of someone who had learned to listen more than speak, drifted to the window. Beyond it, the world slept under a blanket of white, the pine trees standing sentinel in their hush, branches bowing gently under fresh powder. The clock on the wall ticked with the slow rhythm of a heartbeat at rest, each second unfolding like a petal in no hurry to bloom. He was a man in his mid-40s, lines etched softly around his eyes from late nights poring over ledgers in the dim light of his small accounting firm. Not a grand office, but a cozy nook downtown, where the scent of fresh coffee and old books welcomed clients like old friends. Ethan had built it from quiet determination after his wife passed 5 years ago, leaving him with their young daughter, Lily, now 10, whose laughter was the soft light guiding his days. Tonight, Lily slept upstairs, her small chest rising and falling under a quilt stitched with stars. Ethan pictured her curled there, thumb resting near her lips as it had since she was tiny, a habit that never faded. The thought warmed him from within, like sunlight filtering through morning mist. He sipped his tea, the liquid gliding down his throat in a soothing wave, easing the subtle tightness in his chest, a remnant of decisions made in haste, now softened by time's gentle hand. In this peaceful interlude, his mind wandered to the firm, to the rhythm of keyboards tapping softly and phones murmuring hellos. Ari had been the heartbeat there, her steady presence like the reliable glow of a desk lamp on foggy evenings. She arrived each morning with a quiet smile, her dark hair tied back in a loose braid, carrying the faint scent of lavender from her garden. They had shared countless cups of coffee, conversations drifting like leaves on a calm stream, about numbers that balanced perfectly, dreams whispered over lunch breaks, and the small joys of watching Lily's school plays from the back row. But one evening, under the fluorescent hum that felt too sharp that day, Ari had made a mistake. A single entry, transposed in the ledger of their biggest client. A figure off by thousands, though caught before true harm. Ethan's response had come swift, born from pressure he hadn't fully released. "Ari, I have to let you go." The words hung now in his memory like mist, not thunder, softened by regret's warm touch. He leaned back, the chair creaking like a sigh, and pulled the scarf closer. The snow outside thickened, flakes twirling in slow spirals, each one unique, yet part of the same peaceful fall. Ethan's breath evened, his fingers tracing the table's grain, feeling the wood's history under his touch. Here, in this warm kitchen haven, the world invited him to rest, to let the day's edges blur into tomorrow's hope. The heater hummed its lullaby, and distant wind brushed the eaves like fingers combing hair. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment, eyelids heavy with the promise of release. Something inside him stirred gently, not with urgency, but with the quiet knowing that stories like his, and Ari's, often wove back together under winter's gentle veil. As the candle burned lower, its wick curling softly, Ethan's thoughts drifted like embers settling into ash. He rose slowly, movements fluid as water over stones, and moved to the stove where a kettle waited, steam rising in lazy curls. Pouring fresh water, he watched it swirl, a mirror to memories surfacing unhurriedly, triggered by the chamomile's familiar scent. The same his mother had brewed on evenings when the world felt too wide. Ethan had grown up in this very house, its walls whispering tales of simpler times. His father, a carpenter with hands calloused yet tender, had taught him the value of precision. "Measure twice, son, but forgive the third time." Those words echoed now, soft as footsteps on fresh snow, as Ethan recalled his early days in the firm. Fresh from college, widowed too young, he had poured his grief into numbers, clean columns that promised control where life offered none. Lily's birth had been his anchor, her tiny fingers wrapping his thumb on that rainy afternoon in the hospital, the world narrowing to her first cry, muffled and sweet. Raising her alone meant bedtime stories by lamplight, her head on his shoulder, pages turning with the slowness of shared breaths. "Daddy," she would murmur, "will you always be here?" And he, voice low and steady, "Like the stars, little one. Always." The firm grew from those roots, a place where clients found not just balance sheets, but balance in their lives. Ari joined 3 years ago, a quiet force with eyes that saw beyond figures to the stories behind them. Hired on a whim after spotting her resume in a coffee shop, stained faintly with ink, folded with care, she brought warmth to the ledgers. They worked side by side, her laughter a soft ripple during long audits, sharing tales of her own losses. A divorce that left her rebuilding, piece by gentle piece. One memory bloomed clearest now, candlelight flickering like fireflies. A late spring evening when the office windows framed blooming cherry trees. Ari had stayed past closing, helping untangle a client's tangled estate. As rain pattered softly outside, they sat with mugs of tea, steam rising like unspoken confidences. "I've always believed in second chances," she breathed, her voice a whisper against the downpour. Ethan nodded, feeling seen for the first time since his wife's passing, his heart softening like soil after thaw. But that one mistake lingered in reflection, not as a scar, but a soft bruise healing under time's care. The client's account, vital for the town's shelter funding, had teetered briefly. Ethan's fear, rare and fleeting, had spoken before wisdom could. He saw now how pressure from bored whispers, the weight of Lily's school fees, had clouded his gentle core. Regret washed over him, warm as bathwater, inviting forgiveness. Not sharp rebuke, but a quiet lesson in compassion. Upstairs, Lily stirred faintly, her door creaking open in dream sleep. Ethan paused, listening to her, even breaths resume, a reminder of what truly mattered. He wrapped himself in a blanket from the chair, its fibers hugging like an old friend's arms, and settled by the window. Snowflakes pressed against the pane, melting into tears of release. In this unfolding quiet, Ethan longed for rediscovery. Not grand gestures, but the simple wish to mend what words had frayed, to offer Ari the grace he now extended to himself. Morning light would come slowly, sun filtering through frost like hope through haze. For now, the backstory settled like down feathers, cushioning his soul. Ethan breathed deeply, the air rich with peace, as memories wove into a tapestry of healing, each thread glowing with the promise of gentle tomorrows. The wind outside sighed approval, carrying scents of pine and earth, grounding him further. His deepest wish surfaced softly, to lead not with perfection's demand, but with the heart's steady rhythm, a leader who held space for humanity's soft stumbles. The morning arrived like a soft exhale. sunlight filtering through the frost-laced windows of Ethan's kitchen, painting the wooden floors in hues of pale gold. Snow from the night before lay in gentle drifts outside, muffling the world into a hushed canvas where every branch and rooftop wore a peaceful crown. Ethan stirred slowly from his chair, where sleep had found him wrapped in the knitted scarf, its wool still warm against his skin. He rose with the unhurried grace of someone allowing the day to unfold, brewing fresh coffee whose rich aroma curled through the air like a comforting embrace. Lily padded downstairs in her soft slippers, her hair tousled like wisps of morning cloud, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Morning, Daddy," she murmured, voice thick with dreams still clinging. Ethan pulled her into a loose hug, her small frame fitting against him like a puzzle piece long known, the scent of her strawberry shampoo mingling with the coffee's warmth. They shared toast by the window, butter melting slowly under the lamplight he kept dimmed, watching flakes that had lingered sparkle and dissolve. "School today?" he breathed, and she nodded, her smile a quiet sunrise. After dropping her off, her backpack swinging gently, waves exchanged through the car window, Ethan drove downtown, the heater's hum and tires on snow creating a lullaby rhythm. The firm waited, its signs swaying softly in the breeze, windows glowing with the promise of routine made gentle. He parked, breath visible in the crisp air, and walked the short path, boots sinking into powder with muffled crunches. Inside, the space felt like an old friend, desks arranged in cozy clusters, bookshelves lined with ledgers that whispered of lives balanced. The air held traces of vanilla from yesterday's candle, now extinguished, but memory alive. Ethan hung his coat, scarf draped over the chair like a resting bird, and settled at his desk, fingers tracing keys with the slowness of reconnection. It was mid-morning when the door chimed, soft as a distant bell, admitting a figure wrapped in a long wool coat dusted with snow. Ari stepped in, her cheeks flushed from the cold, but warming already, dark braid peeking from a knit hat pulled low. She paused in the doorway, eyes meeting Ethan's across the quiet room, not with storm, but with the gentle surprise of paths crossing under winter's kind watch. No words rushed. Instead, she offered a small smile, tentative as first light, shaking snow from her boots by the mat. "Ethan," she whispered, voice carrying the softness of someone who had walked through chill to arrive here. He rose slowly, chair whispering against the floor, heart softening like wax near flame. "Ari," he breathed back, gesturing to the chair opposite his desk, the one she had claimed for years with her neat stacks of papers. She unwound her scarf, a deep blue knit, edges frayed from loving use, draping it beside his, their fabrics brushing like old acquaintances. Steam rose from the kettle he set to warm, filling mugs with chamomile laced with honey, the liquid's warmth seeping through porcelain into palms held close. They sat, knees not quite touching, the space between them a bridge built of quiet allowance. "I saw Lily's drawing in the window yesterday," Ari murmured, sipping slowly, eyes on the steam curling like shared secrets. "The Snow family. She's grown so much." Ethan nodded, the mention of his daughter, a thread pulling gently at his chest, warming the memory of that single mistake now distant as last season's leaves. "She's been asking about you," he admitted softly, voice low against the heater's hum. Ari's gaze lifted, vulnerability blooming like a flower in dawn light, her own burdens hinted in the faint lines around her eyes, from nights rebuilding alone after her quiet unraveling. The conversation drifted like leaves on a still pond. First weather, snow's peaceful fall, then small kindnesses remembered, her helping with Lily's birthday cake, flower dusting their laughter, his listening ear during her divorce's soft ache. No accusations surfaced. Instead, mutual listening wove them closer, her hand resting near his on the desk, fingers not clasping, but near enough for warmth to bridge. "I carried that moment," she confessed gently, eyes tracing the window's frost patterns. "But time, it softens edges." Ethan breathed deeply, feeling seen, the weight of his decision melting like ice in sunlight. "I was wrong to let haste speak," he whispered, and her nod was a balm, compassionate world settling around them. Outside, fresh flakes began again, twirling in slow spirals, blanketing the town in hush. Inside, their reunion unfolded through small acts, her folding a stray blanket over the couch, him offering a fresh-baked cookie from his tin, crumbs shared with quiet laughter that rippled like water over pebbles. Sensory details anchored them, the wool of scarves brushing arms, warm mugs cradled close, faint lavender from her skin mingling with coffee's earthiness. Vulnerability emerged softly, not as wound, but as shared humanity. Her longing for belonging after loss, his for grace after pressure's grip. As noon approached, light shifting to a deeper amber through snow-filtered panes, they walked to the window together, shoulders nearly touching, watching the world rest. "I've missed this," Ari breathed, and Ethan felt something inside soften further, like clay yielding to Potter's hand. Their emotional resonance hummed low, tender as a lullaby, forming through gestures. A pat on the back lingering warm, eyes holding with understanding's glow. No urgency colored the air, only the peaceful certainty that reconnections, when gentle, healed like spring beneath snow. This meeting lingered, time stretching like taffy and warmth, their words weaving safety. Ari's presence filled the office not with return to work, but to wholeness, a quiet reunion where past stumbles became stepping stones, wrapped in compassion's embrace. Ethan watched her braids sway as she adjusted a photo on the wall, Lily's smile framed there, and peace settled over him like a blanket pulled high. Afternoon light dimmed early under the snow's veil. Casting the office in a cocoon of amber glow from the desk lamp, Ethan adjusted with care. Ari stayed, not as employee but companion, the door locked softly against the world's chill. They moved to the small kitchenette, sleeves brushing as they prepared tea, her hands steady on the kettle, his slicing lemon with unhurried slices, citrus scent blooming fresh and bright. "Tell me about these months," he murmured, passing her a mug, steam weaving between them like invisible threads. She settled on the worn couch, blanket draped over knees, pulling it open in silent invitation. Ethan joined, fabric enveloping them both, warmth building from shared proximity. Ari spoke slowly, voice a gentle current, rebuilding through evening walks in snow, tending her garden under moonlight, rediscovering laughter and small sketches of winter scenes. "I felt adrift," she admitted, eyes on flickering candlelight. "But the quiet taught me to listen inward." He nodded, sharing his own. Lily's bedtime rituals, the firm, steady pulse missing her rhythm, nights by the fire reflecting on leadership's true heart. Not perfection, but presence. Quiet laughter bubbled as memories surfaced, the time a client's ledger balanced by sheer luck, their high fives muffled by relief. Her teaching Lily paper snowflakes, folds crisp under tiny fingers. Physical comfort wove in naturally, her head resting. Briefly on his shoulder during a yawn, his arm around the blanket's edge holding space. They cooked simply, pasta steaming on the stove, sauce simmering with herbs from her pocket, shared bites warm and savory, flavors lingering on tongues like affirmations. Long, descriptive moments stretched, watching snow pile against the window, flakes unique yet harmonious. Pages turning in an old photo album, fingers tracing smiles frozen in time. Gentle honesty flowed, his confession of pressure's shadow from loss, her walls built from past betrayals melting under listening's gaze. "You saw me," she whispered, hand finding his under the blanket, loose and reassuring. Ethan felt understood, emotional walls dissolving like mist in sun, safety blooming organically as they sat, breaths sinking in peaceful rhythm. Scenes of peace multiplied, a slow walk outside at dusk, boots crunching softly, arms linked against wind, back inside, fireplace crackling low, logs from his backyard stack, blankets piled high, stories exchanged till eyelids grew heavy. They felt seen, held in conversation's nurture, healing unfolding through compassion's touch. Quiet forgiveness emerged. "I understand now," he breathed, and her smile was absolution, world feeling gentle again. This deepening filled hours, 80% of the energy soft and sleepy, nervous systems calming under sensory hush, warm shoulders touching, knitted fabrics soft, distant winds sighing approval, vulnerability shared without fear, affection slow as honey dripping, kindness wrapping them like dusk skies. Peace settled, hearts held in warmth's cradle. Evening deepened, lamplight pooling golden on the office floor where blankets formed a nest. Snow fell thicker, world beyond the windows, a silent symphony, muffling all but their soft voices. Ethan and Ari sat close, mugs empty but hands warm from shared hold, candle now, a low flicker casting peaceful shadows. Pacing slowed further, breaths deep and even, ambient hush inviting deeper truths. A calm confession arose naturally. "That mistake," Ari breathed, eyes tracing flames dance. "It was my fear slipping, but your words, they lingered until I saw them as mirror." Ethan paused, hand squeezing hers gently, vulnerability tender as petal unfolding. "I fired from my own unhealed places," he murmured, voice a whisper against her hair. "But seeing you now, I realize leadership is holding space for stumbles, mine included." Shared memory surfaced, that rainy audit night, tea steaming, dreams voiced softly. "You believed in second chances then?" she said, and he nodded, realization dawning slow as dawn. A promise of friendship evolving, love's quiet bloom without fanfare. They spent the night talking, words weaving emotional permission, her head on his chest hearing heartbeats lullaby, his fingers combing her braid with soothing strokes. Healing reassurance peeked softly, comforting her tired sigh from months alone, his arms a haven. Her question, "Will you let me? I stay, not for work, but us?" met with, always, simple and profound. Ambient snow-patterned panes, dialogue gentle as breeze. Climax in this emotional safety. No spikes, only deepening calm. Something inside them softened fully, world holding them safe. Night fully cloaked the town, moonlight spilling silver through parting clouds, snow glowing ethereal outside the warm office haven. Ethan and Ari rose slowly from blankets, movements fluid as dream wake, gathering mugs with quiet clinks, hands held loosely, fingers interlaced like roots finding soil. They stepped to the window, breaths fogging glass briefly before warmth cleared it. Quiet home awaited, his kitchen, her garden tomorrow, but tonight, peace reigned. Snow fell softly, each flake a silent promise, dimming lights signaling rest. They drove through hushed streets, car humming gentle, arriving at his house where Lily slept unchanged, stars quilt guarding her dreams. Inside, fireplace embers glowed, blankets pulled high on the couch where they settled, bodies fitting naturally, warmth shared without words. Emotional closure whispered, forgiveness complete, hope blooming eternal. Soft breathing synced, eyelids heavy, world gentle again. As sleep drifted in, hands loose in promise, moonlight filled the room. Everything okay, safe, held, listener lulled into dreams under winter's kind watch. Peace, like blanket eternal.